Hello everybody, welcome along to this video. It's Mr. Johnson teaches Macbeth, Act 5, Scene 2, part of my series of videos unpicking each and every scene from the play as part of your revision. You've done well to choose this scene because although this is a scene where it doesn't have any of the main characters, I consider this actually one of the most useful scenes because of a couple of quotes that it's got inside of it, and you'll see that very shortly. Be prepared to make notes on this and write that down because making notes is your best way of actually actively remembering what you're hearing. A reminder to you also that Macbeth is part of your GCSE English Literature. You'll find it as Paper 1, Section A. So without further ado, let's have a look. In summary, what happens in this scene is there's a number of thanes discussing how unpopular Macbeth is. This is the point in the play, we're near the end. Macbeth is king at this point, but the way he's been ruling Scotland has been particularly horrible, bloodthirsty. The word tyrant has been used many times to describe Macbeth, a tyrant being somebody who rules through fear. And a reminder, a thane, Scotland would have been divided up into sort of areas, and you would have put a thane in charge of that area, and their job was to sort of look after that area on behalf of the king. Now the second bullet point points out they are waiting for the English army to arrive at Birnam Wood. That's because the English army are coming to help overthrow Macbeth. The king's son, the king who was murdered, his son Malcolm went off to England. They've gathered an army together and now they're coming back to get Macbeth. So actually a very short scene, but as I'm about to show you, really good for a couple of the quotes. Key characters, we've met Lennox and Angus before, those two are thanes. Caithness and Menteith, however, we haven't met, and actually they don't have much more to do in the play other than this scene. They're just meant to be thanes who are starting to turn on Macbeth. So even the people who are supposed to be loyal to him are not following his orders anymore because of the way he is acting. So let's have a look then, Act 5, Scene 2. So we're in the country, so the countryside that is, near Dunsinane, which is a castle. And then enter Menteith, Caithness, Angus, Lennox, there are soldiers as well. Menteith, my first arrow says, the English soldiers are on their way. They're being led by Malcolm, and with Macduff is there as well. Macduff, remember, is another one of the thanes, and the English king as well. And basically say, we'll meet them near Birnam Wood, is what is said by Angus on that second arrow there. And then I just wanted to point out, I put in yellow a little bit further down, what does the tyrant, says Menteith, with tyrant in yellow, because it's one of about 15 appearances of that word in the play, which really is quite a significant number of appearances, showing just what these characters think of Macbeth. And you need to bear in mind that these are who should be loyal to him, these people who are saying these things. Great Dunsinane he strongly fortifies, says Caithness at the bottom, basically sort of making the castle even stronger. And then this bit's really quite good. Some say he's mad. Other, that lesser hate him, call it valiant fury, so like strong fury. But for certain he cannot buckle his distempered cause within the belt of rule. Basically, that you can't buckle it down, you can't belt it in and contain it, is the metaphor that's being used there. Macbeth is almost out of control, is what you could read into that. And then Angus replies, these are great quotes which I'll unpick for you. Now he does feel his secret murders sticking on his hands, says Angus. And basically, I put the arrow there, but how is the irony of that quote about secret murders that are being discussed by everybody, or these guys? They can't be secret, therefore. But the fact that they're sticking on his hands is a really good quote. Like that verb sticking is just excellent there. It's something you can't get rid of. And then he goes on to say, those, I haven't highlighted it, but it says, those he commands move only in command, nothing in love. So he's almost lost the respect of anybody. They only now do what he says because of the fact he is their king. They don't believe in what he's telling them. So there's no love there between him and his troops. And then this second quote in pink, now he does feel his title, that means king, he does feel his title hang loose about him like a giant's robe upon a dwarfish thief. Now I've labelled that as imagery. You could also label it as a simile because it is. You've got the giant's robe hanging upon this dwarfish thief, revealing Macbeth is an unworthy king. His a robe is something you wear, and it's almost a giant's robe upon a dwarf. So something massive on somebody small. He doesn't deserve the title. It's too big for him, basically is what it's saying. But it's a really memorable quote, and it's just something you could really contrast between the brave Macbeth that's described in Act 1, Scene 7 to that quote now. Further down, as you can see, they're basically talking about, Caithness is talking about, he says on his last few lines, the medicine of the sickly will, and with him pour we in our country's purge. they're going to try and bring Scotland back to health. It's almost like talking about pouring their medicine. They are the medicine trying to heal the sick Scotland. And the reason it is sick is because of Macbeth. So you've got personification there. And that has happened in other scenes close to this one as well, including the last scene, in fact, as well. And indeed the next scene. And Lennox talks then about how they're going to water the sovereign flower. So dew the sovereign flower, he says, which means water the king flower and drown the weeds. And they march towards Burnham. So basically get rid of the weeds. The weeds are Macbeth, who are invading, because that's what weeds do. They're something you don't want, and they're almost invading Scotland. So once again, imagery, but you could call that personification. The key themes in that scene, it is a short scene, but you've got kingship going on there and what it is to be king, and the fact that Macbeth is not a good king in the way he's described. The idea of power, and you could look at how power is slipping away from Macbeth. Those he commands move only in command, as it said, nothing in love. And honour, and also the fact that he's lost that honour and respect maybe as well of his troops. So there's some quick revision questions for you to consider. Pause that slide and have a go at retrieving those questions. All are things I have covered in the last 5 minutes in the video, so you should be able to find them, and if you don't know them, you can go back and look for them. And the final thing I wanted to talk about really is just quickly, power and kingship are two themes that run through this play. You see the power that Macbeth has at the beginning of the play, which comes with the respect. So power and respect almost holding hands there, almost being very similar things, like almost as one. But here you can see how he has lost the respect and therefore is losing power as well. While he has the title and is called king, he almost doesn't have the respect, the honour and the loyalty that would go with somebody who needs to be king. You can't just be king and expect everybody to listen to you, because everybody outnumbers you. So yes, you're the king, but you need to earn respect from those people as well. And Macbeth is losing that. And you can see that in the quotes that you've hopefully written down. So thank you for watching this video all the way through. I absolutely recommend that you keep going with other key scenes as well. If you've been doing them roughly in order, then the next few scenes are really worth watching as well, because you'll see a real contrast from Macbeth at the beginning of the play to him as he is now, and just how he's lost that respect. So I wish you the very best of luck when it comes to doing your GCSEs. Thanks for watching this video, and goodbye.